Welcome into the podcast. Just jump into conversation here. I mean, we are going to jump into conversation. But it's me and Gary today. Everybody out there listening, and Gary's shitting his pants. You can see it on the YouTube. He is not as clear and cut as Kevin Ward is on his new HD camera. Which someone was trying to say that Kevin didn't look any better on Twitter, and then somebody else was like, "Oh no, it's much better." Or maybe
that was crazy.
I mean,
it's night and day difference.
It is. People don't understand when you do the clips too. When you zoom in, that takes away some of the quality. But it is it's the Kluve and Gary show. It's the tech guy show. So you listen to the podcast a little bit. Before we got you, I was full on tech guy, right?
Still doing a lot of tech guy stuff.
Basically all the tech guy stuff still. But it was like, they're the talent. I'm tech guy. And now you're sort of like, you're part tech guy. You're social guy.
Right? Yeah, tech guy in training.
And so now it's just tech guy and tech guy. And so everybody, what Gary here doesn't want is he's like, I'm scared that we're going to get on here. And I'll tell you why Drake and Kevin are not here in a second. And this isn't going to be a super long show either. Me and Gary aren't going to rip off 90 minutes here. I mean, I'm trying to fucking sleep. I also considered pushing the podcast, right? We pushed the podcast not last week, but 2 weeks ago because of the late championship weekend. And I thought about it again, Grant. I really did. But then you know what inspired me to come down here and hop on was this morning when I text and when Drake said something and we're like, hey, when are we going to do this? You were like, your only response was, I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah, I feel like I got to, right? Like
that fired me up. I was like, oh, I thought about it. I'm putting baby to bed. And I'm a little sleepy. 28. I do a lot of working out, pretty active guy. By the end of the day, I get a little tired. And it dawns on me, this is my fucking podcast. I could push this to tomorrow and we could just release it on Tuesday. What's the problem with that? But then I thought, no. I have this little voice in my head. It's the voice of discipline. And it sounds like Jocko. And it says, no, you remember what Gary said? I'll be there. Can't let Gary be more disciplined to the podcast. Can't let Swish and all the haters in the Discord be right about you being the most dedicated to this show since you've showed up around here. So here we are. Okay. It is tech guy and new tech guy, Tyler Kluver and Gary the intern. And we're going to talk a little bit of Super Bowl. And we're going to talk about where Drake and Kevin are. First, Gary, I think it'd be smart to let our fans know, our listeners, the walk-on army, Hawkeye Nation, if you will, about the pork producers of Washington County.
I think that would be wise as well.
When's the last time you had any pork?
Last time I had pork, it's probably, I think I had pork sliders last weekend.
Where at?
Am I allowed to say names on here?
Sure, yeah.
I can just drop names.
It was just like
okay, I think it was, what was it called? I don't remember the name of it. It was not in Iowa City.
Oh,
it was out of town. I don't remember the name. I was driving to I was in Boone, Iowa the other weekend. I was driving and I stopped. So
is this where the family lives?
Yes.
Nice. Boone. Good old Boone. I actually have a family member that lives in Boone.
Okay.
So last time I had pork was a couple weeks ago. Bought just a thick pack of bacon, right?
Okay.
For some spaghetti carbonara. You ever had carbonara?
I feel like I have.
It's an unbelievable dish. It's not like crazy. It's a creamy. Usually, if it's more authentic, you use pancetta.
Okay.
But instead of pancetta, the uncultured American just uses bacon. A little bit of heavy whipping cream, a little egg yolk, makes the salsa. Oh my God, dude, it's unbelievable. Then that was like half of the pack of bacon. Then I wake up the next morning and just 6 fat slabs of bacon for breakfast.
There you go.
Dude, unbelievable.
That's an unbelievable way to start your day. Like it takes a little bit more effort to get out the eggs, make the bacon.
Yeah.
But when you start off your day like that, I feel like there's nothing that can really take you down.
It's worth it, right?
I think so.
I mean, you sit down with a plate of eggs and bacon, and I did add eggs. I always have eggs in the morning.
Oh, of course.
You have a plate of eggs and bacon in front of you, and all you can think about is, damn, the people over at the Washington Pork Producers, they must be doing damn good work.
Oh, of course.
So, shout out to them for sponsoring the show. Shout out to pork in general. Incredible
Shout out
meat.
to pork.
Do
you think we'll get the? Should we do the pig costume episode? We talked.
I feel like we absolutely should if we can get the costumes.
I'm down if we have costumes.
I just don't. You know, how much is it going to cost? Is it in the budget? Can we write off for pig costumes?
Well, you were going to write off 30 hurdles and a shot put
and a javelin.
A javelin.
Still might. Feel like that's warranted.
I think so.
You're right. If we're gonna put hurdles and javelins on the expense sheet for 2023, we might as well throw on 4 pig costumes.
I think like if you just sneak that in at the bottom as like the footnote, I don't think there'll be any issue. Plus the producers would be, you know how fired up they would be if they're like, oh, let's tune into the Wash Up Walk-Ons and we're just all wearing like a little pig outfit.
They would be. You're right. They would be fucking stoked, man.
They'd be fired up.
I mean, talk about conversion rates. Do you know how much pork our fan base would be eating at that point?
More than they are now.
I have to imagine if.
And I don't want to make any generalizations about
please do
our fan base, but I feel like
a
very strong percentage consumes pork regularly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Not to make any assumptions. I think I'm right.
I don't, they say it is bad to assume, but I don't think making an assumption on people who eat pork is a bad thing. I don't see that as a negative.
No. But I got to be careful. It's a Gary episode.
Well, but do you though? Because it's kind of the thing of this show not to be careful, right?
I guess that makes sense.
But like,
go ahead.
Did you happen to see in the on Twitter? I was going to talk about this with Kevin and Drake again. Still haven't mentioned why they're not here. Obviously, I think if you tuned in last episode, you might know why Kevin isn't, and we're going to actually bring that up here in a second. Did you see how much do you get on the Twitter other than posting the clips? Do you ever check the notifications?
I look a lot more than I should. I told myself I wasn't going to look at any of it, and then I spend way more time looking at it than I.
You're like allowed to. You're allowed to interact and respond to people if you'd like to as well.
So like, I don't respond. By the way, anything that's note to anyone who follows us on Twitter. Any response Gary. Is not me.
It's all Gary. He's trying to get
as of now. It's not me. And I try and I stay away from I stay away from DMs. I stay away from responding. Not because I don't love our followers, but just because I don't think it's my place.
Well, we might have to make it your place, right?
We can.
I mean, I'm never going to. Obviously, a lot of the attention or questions or specifics are going to be directed at us, right?
Right.
And most people who have followed us on social media and kind of gotten the gist of how this operation works around here know that I'm the one behind the Washed Up Walk-Ons tag. So a lot of people will even just hit us up and say, "Hey, Tyler," because they know it's me. But hey,
oh yeah,
I like a little anonymity. Throw Gary behind there as well. Now you don't know who you're talking to.
Well, I see. I didn't know this before. I have access to the account now, obviously, but there's a lot of DMs in our account where you just have full conversations with people all the time, and I think that's really cool that you do that, right? Like, I don't know any other podcast that just like if you DM the main account, like you can end up having a full conversation with a host. But
I will.
It would be funny if like I responded to some of them, and you just look up and you're like, "What? This isn't at all what we were talking about."
Gary said, like, that would be funny as fuck.
Or I could just sabotage you totally. And just say outlandish stuff and Tyler has lost his mind.
Yeah, and I've thought about that. Not just sabotage me, but us as a brand. Like, I figuratively handed you the keys to the castle here, right?
Right.
You know, even the other day I was showing you sort of some financial numbers behind the Patreon and some advertising stuff and some back end analytics on the downloads. You know, we were running you through a quick crash course of some of the back end stuff that would interest you in your experience here as the intern at the Washed Up Walk-Ons. And yeah, you've got the keys to all of our social accounts, and maybe eventually even the keys to the hosting site if I ever need you to, you know, like edit an episode, like if we're in dire need of that.
You can do that.
And yeah, man. Do you think it's weird that I respond to people?
No, I said I think it's cool.
Yeah,
I would say it's like, I would say if you went and asked a bunch of other people who host podcasts, I would say the majority of them don't respond to people.
Yeah,
but I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I think it's cool, and
true.
I think it's on brand. I think it's a cool part of the Washed Up Walk-Ons brand that you respond. You're so interactive with the audience.
I appreciate that. I've got that sentiment by other people as well. I do believe that in general, like, I think part of what we do around here, and, you know, you've been around for, you know, Gary, as you guys sit there and listen at home, or you're on your Peloton right now or whatever you're doing, Gary's only been, I guess your dad listened to us before you started listening to us, but then you've only been listening for, you know, like 6 months or whatever.
Oh, easily. Yeah. No,
yeah.
First episode I ever listened to was probably September sometime.
Yeah. So, you know, the vibe around here, especially in the early days when a lot of the stuff that we have now, like we were far from having, like, dude, we didn't even record, I think the first 77 episodes. I don't know why that number comes to mind. I'd have to look. I think like the first 70 some episodes didn't even have a video version. we didn't record on Zoom. Like, Zoom wasn't a big thing when we started this podcast. Now I'm really dating us, but like we started in 2018.
Oh yeah.
We started, and our first program that we ever used was a software called Zencastr. And it was essentially just this landing page where you'd get into a little call, but it was audio only. And it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. It would spit out 3 individual files. And the worst part, and no one cares about this, this is some inside baseball stuff, but for Gary, you'll enjoy this. The worst part was when I would get the 3 files spit out at the end of the podcast, say we went for like 55 minutes or whatever, my file would be like the perfect amount, right? Because I was hosting the call. Right. But then Drake's file would be like 53:48, and Kevin's would be like 54:30. They'd be like, there was like anywhere from a 30-second to 2-minute lag time that would like corrupt inside the individual audio files. So I would have to go in between every time when someone started talking and stopped talking, I would have to cut and drag it a little bit so that we, over time, like the conversations didn't it was unbelievable.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean on that. Like when it's easy to say like, oh, like if I just got in there and talked or whatever, like I could do my own podcasts and stuff. But
yeah,
when you actually get into doing it, and there's so much like editing that goes behind it, it's not to say like, oh, like doing podcasts is the hardest thing in the world, but it's harder than people think. I like when I started doing them, I definitely experienced that a little bit where I was like, this is
plug the pod. What's the pod called?
Am I allowed to?
In the kitchen podcast.
In the kitchen. Someone asked me, did you see that in Discord? It was like,
no, I didn't.
I think it was the second day I was in it. Someone asked what my other podcast was, and I didn't know. I was still pretty nervous in terms
you were
of,
scared to plug
stuff. I said I wouldn't plug anything in the Discord or on here.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
I didn't know. I still don't know a lot of times. I still try and I still walk on hot coals a little bit.
Better to ask forgiveness than permission, right?
Right.
Back to the vibe. That's kind of the vibe we got around here. Like if you want to plug something in our Discord, which is probably against the rules or a no-no in a lot of Discords, right? or online communities, go ahead, plug it. The problem, because the way our Discord works, and by the way, dude, I'm sending you a fucking webcam because you look like you're a 2D pixel right now, and it's a little bit of your internet because you're like a 5 out of 10 right now on the score. But like if you plug something and the Discord doesn't like it, then oops, you're gonna get shit on. You know,
Fair.
Just how it's gonna go. So, Tech Guy podcast today. Honestly, probably won't go for much more than 15 more minutes because Dad needs to go to bed. Let's talk quickly about where Drake and Kevin are. Drake, right before we got on this, said, "Fuck the pod." Dude, fuck the pod? What are we talking about? And I might lose Gary here because the internet's connection has just gotten gradually worse. He's gotten gradually more grainy. I can still see you moving around there. I don't know if you talk. Yeah, I can still hear you. I don't know if I'm talking to you in real time or if it's delayed or anything. Okay. Drake is, and you guys can shit on Drake for this. He is, not only is he fully awake and attentive right now, he had agreed to do the pod after the Super Bowl game earlier in the day. He also lives in the same city that the Super Bowl was happening in, which is an hour behind us. So it's only 8:45 right now and not 9:45 over in Phoenix where Drake is. But he just said, fuck the pod, right? And now it's okay, but some people aren't as dedicated around here, right? Gary, the intern, Kluve, the tech guy. Some guys, they're bought in. They're 100%. Other guys, like Drake, not so much. Kevin, not so much. Likes to take vacations. Likes to go to Hawaii. In fact, let's am I going to be able to bring that up? Yes, I am. I need to. One moment, Gary. One moment.
I won't point that out. It sounds like Drake might be sick.
He did.
Based off what he said.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Being fair.
We should be fair. He said that he got quite sick over the weekend, and he was still trying to kick it. So much so that he did not even like hang out with anybody or go to a Super Bowl party or anything today. Not that he would in general. So he probably isn't feeling good. So appreciate you, Grant, for stepping in and stepping up for him. Although, does he deserve it? Absolutely not.
Happy to be here.
I'm going to share a little screen action here. Okay. And this is what Kevin Ward is doing.
Taking my job, by the way.
You're right. This is what Kevin Ward's doing right now. You see that?
Is that what I think it is?
That is exactly what you think it is. Yeah. Speechless Grant. Speechless Gary.
Holy cow.
Yeah, Kevin's engaged.
Yeah.
On a beach in Maui.
Holy cow. I am speechless.
What do you think about
that? Tough for radio, but it's a photo of a hand with a beautiful ring on it.
It's Kevin's girlfriend with her hand out. Kevin is blurry in the background. The image is focused on the ring and her hand. Clearly she knew this was coming. Look at the recently done nails. And yeah, dude. So
congrats.
I guess, I guess, right?
Yeah, congrats, right?
I mean, I guess he's missing the podcast.
I guess. What do you mean not congrats? He's your friend.
I mean, fuck that guy. I'll tell him congrats when he's here, right? I'm not going to tell him congrats when he's not here.
I say congrats.
He's off in Maui on a beach, probably eating some delicious steak dinner tonight, taking a week off. Who does this guy think he is? What the fuck?
I did think February, like weekend of the Super Bowl, was a weird time for vacation to Hawaii, but everything makes more sense now.
It makes a little bit more sense when you see
everything makes more sense now.
Yeah. And so for those listening, Ike and Josie got started early. I suppose, they've always been like the big family guys of the six of us, the Benton crew that we always talk about. So they both have 2 children already, have been married for a long time. I was third of the group of 6, got married, obviously now have a child. Bo proposed to his woman earlier last year, 2022. His wedding will be later this summer, late spring, summer. And now Kevin has proposed to his woman and is getting hitched as well. And this is probably way over your head, Gary. But, I know at 20 years old, I don't know how serious you and the woman are. I know you said you have a girlfriend. I don't know how serious you guys are, but this is big commitment now, right? It's a lot.
Yeah. No, that is it is, I would say marriage is the ultimate commitment. Is it not?
Well, some would say, right?
I would say it is a lifelong commitment in theory.
I would prefer if he would commit to this podcast a little bit more, but I guess if he, and congrats to him, but shout out.
Yes, congrats. Like
shout out, but no free shout outs, right? Like if he wants a shout out, if he wants congratulations, he's gonna have to come back.
If we can shout out my other podcast, then we can shout out.
No. I think that's podcast with Grant Allen and the boys is more important than Kevin's engagement right now. We'll let him have his time when he comes back. So Kevin's engaged.
Who do you think best man in the Benton house? Or is it coming from the field?
Yeah, it's going to come from the field for Kevin, I believe.
Okay.
So Kevin, if it was going to come from the Benton house, it would probably be me out of the Benton house.
There you go.
But it will almost certainly be his buddy Josh from back home, I believe.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Which is cool. I'm not best man material. I'm not best man material.
I'm assuming if it's friend from home, it's probably like a 15+ year friendship dating back a long time.
Yeah, I think they they grew up together, played football together. He actually was a long snapper at Indiana.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
So fun little, me and Kevin actually became really good friends in college. Probably the best, the tightest of any 2 of the 6 in the Benton house, long snapper. And then his friend from high school, also Division I long snapper. So pretty cool story there.
They'll make a good best man speech.
Absolutely. Kevin.
He's got all the stories. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Kevin now engaged. Drake's sick. Tech guys on the podcast. Did you see, Grant, before we get to because the Super Bowl talk is going to be like the Chiefs won. Okay. I'm over the Chiefs. I don't know how you feel.
I don't like them. I don't like them.
I didn't want either of these teams to win the Super Bowl.
I was rooting for the Eagles. I have no disdain against them, but I'm a Broncos fan. I can't root for. I hope every AFC West opponent loses all their games.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You're a good sports fan. As a committed fanatic to a team, you should hope that. Now, I'm not that committed to anything in the sporting world, but man, I'll echo the sentiment that I've preached before in the last couple episodes. I think the Chiefs are to the point where they have dominated the AFC.
Oh yeah.
In a certain level for the last half decade, and they're now to the point where they have won too much. It's old, it's boring. They want as humans we want something new.
Win a little bit. I think
with all their offensive prowess.
Oh no, I think a little bit. I mean, if we're just thinking about the last 2 games, right? What's been the photo that's circulating around Twitter? It's Mahomes doing a jersey swap with refs.
I was gonna pull that up again.
Actually. I think, and it's like it's a joke always, like the script and stuff. But there's deep down a little bit of me. I would say like 5% of me believes that the NFL genuinely wants the Chiefs to win.
I'm not
on any given Sunday.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Goodell won. I think it's Goodell sits down and he thinks it's in the NFL offseason. It's probably better if the Chiefs are deep in the playoffs this year.
And it's not just necessarily the Chiefs, but it's, in 5 years it could be somebody different. But I agree with you.
Oh yeah.
I agree with you that in any given season there is a couple teams, and I'm not talking deep rooted conspiracy here where like Goodell is telling certain referees who are going to happen to ref certain games to make certain calls. Right. But I am agreeing with you in a sense that if you want to say that this is the NFL being rigged, I actually do believe that Goodell could sit down with some higher ups, with some people that have pull in the reffing circles and be like, hey, some of these, specifically, bring up some plays like, hey, here's some plays that the Chiefs ran last year with Patrick Mahomes. Like if he does this is a penalty, right? Like we need to protect our good players, not necessarily making it about the Chiefs, but using them as the example. Or I could also see, and I think in recent times, it's been just the teams who are offensively powerhoused, right?
Oh yeah. No,
because
it's who's making the most TikTok highlights for all the kids to watch, right?
Correct, right?
Like kids want to watch Mahomes throw the ball like underhand behind his back. They don't want to watch Ben Roethlisberger throw checkdowns.
What was the game this year? You'll remember because you're a Broncos fan. The Broncos played somebody on prime time, and it was like a 6-3 game or something like that.
It was against the Colts,
and it was an ass game.
Or I guess the 49ers too. I think that was I want to say the score was 11-9, maybe.
Okay, I believe it was the Colts Broncos game.
Thursday Night Football.
They don't want to push those teams or necessarily create rules or, let's say, review a bunch of calls from games like that because who gives a shit, right? Those games aren't the ones that are going to make money or push the brand forward. But the games where the Chiefs and Bills go back and forth and score 4 touchdowns in the last minute and 20 seconds, those are the games where, okay, how can we get more of these outcomes? You start making rules and interpretations of rules and penalties against certain rules and things that you can do in the game of football that favor offensive teams. Right. And the Chiefs happen to be the sort of the face for offense in the league over the last 5 years. And so I would agree with 100%.
You. Yeah,
I would agree with you.
When the Broncos play the Colts on Thursday Night Football, right? And it's a total disaster. There's no like 8-year-old kid that's like, Dad, I want to go get a Matt Ryan jersey. But when Mahomes scores 4 touchdowns in a game, there's probably a lot of 12-year-olds that really want Mahomes jerseys. And I would say to those kids that your parents failed you by purchasing that Mahomes jersey for you. They're letting you down. They're letting you be delusional. They're actually abusing. They're leading you astray. They're leading you down a bad path. So if that kid is listening to this podcast, I can lead you on the right path. I can take you to the right path.
Well, and that actually brings up a good point that if the Hawks were a part of the NFL, Iowa would be, they would never get a primetime spot. They would be last in jersey sales. No one would, Iowa would be a
never
bad brand.
See them on Red Zone.
The Hawks would be a bad brand in the NFL league.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. There was a questionable call, I guess, at the end. I was feeding my daughter.
Questionable.
I didn't know. You tell me. I'm asking.
Well, I think it was just like I think in that situation. Are we talking about the same
I believe there was a holding call on a receiver.
So like if you go back and watch, it's one of those plays where it's they say you can call holding on the offensive line every single play.
Every play,
right?
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, I guess kind of, but in that moment in the Super Bowl where this is going to be a stop on third down, they probably kick a field goal. Eagles have a minute and a half, I think, left in the game to potentially put a drive together, send it to overtime. I just don't think you can call that.
I agree. And from what I saw on Twitter, that was sentiment. I think McAfee even tweeted, he tagged the NFL officiating Twitter account and said, we can't have this.
You can't. Well, and that's where all the fans are getting mad. And like I was just saying, it seems like everything, it's not the Chiefs' fault that the ref called that. It's not their fault. It's not Mahomes' fault. It's not Kelsey's fault. It's not anyone on the Chiefs' side's fault. Not. But they get them a lot. they get them. They get those calls.
You're right. They do get those calls.
They do. Hey, that ref did a great job though. He deserves that ring. He deserves it. Congrats to him.
Hey,
they all deserve it.
The jersey swap, that the price on that jersey in 40 years with Mahomes is going to be incredible.
Oh, it's going to be Yeah,
he can sell that on the.
He still sells 6 figures.
Yeah. Oh, it's 7. Yeah, I get it. The Eagles. I honestly felt like the Eagles are the best. They were the best football team in the league this year. That's my opinion.
Very fair.
the best team doesn't always win. And I don't think that they were the best by some great margin. And when the really good part of your team is the offensive side of the ball, like Kansas City's, anything can happen. And we kind of saw that tonight, although they did get a defensive touchdown.
Oh yeah.
As good as Jalen Hurts played, which by the way, crazy stat. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, tied Terrell Davis for
he had the octopus too.
What's that?
It's when you score the touchdown and then you also get the 2-point conversion.
Oh,
8-point play. The octopus.
The octopus.
Have you never heard that?
No, I've never heard
octopus. Yeah.
I've never heard it called that.
Yeah, no. I got real excited for I was watching with a couple buddies and I stood up. I was like, an octopus. You did it. It was an octopus. And all my friends looked at me all crazy. They're like, what are you talking about, Grant? This is the Detroit Red Wings game. There's no
I think you just came up with a merch idea. I think if you put
Jalen, I did not come up with this. I did not.
No. But that now that Jalen got it in the Super Bowl, I think there's an easy sell right now where you just take a nice sort of animated octopus, make it big on the T-shirt, and throw Jalen Hurts' face right on the head, and that would sell. Eagles fans, we'll just run Facebook targeted ads to Philadelphia.
I don't know if,
we could probably sell 200 of them.
I don't know if Eagles fans are going to want a bunch of reminders of this game.
Yeah, you're probably right.
If we're just being real here, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I will say this. There's part of me that really, really and this is like I don't know what part. This is a character flaw. I'm a bad person. Call it whatever you want. But the fact that they were, they did the full on grease the telephone poles in Philadelphia the last day or two, and then they lost, and now nobody's out in the streets trying to climb those poles. I think that's funny.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw, but the Eagles fans were flipping over cars and stuff before the game even started.
I did see that. Yeah.
So I think that they might have saved, there might have been a lot of attempted telephone pole climbing anyway. I think they were doing it after they won the NFC Championship anyway.
Yeah, and I would almost venture to guess that there would have been multiple murders in Philadelphia, just knowing the kind of people that it seems like come from there, because of the craziness that would happen if if they won the Super Bowl. So you probably saved a lot of inadvertent crime just because the cops are going to be focused on.
Are you calling Patrick Mahomes a hero?
No, I'm
saving. He's more. Are you saying Patrick Mahomes just saved a bunch of lives in Philadelphia?
Maybe a few. I will say this. Sad part of the Super Bowl is I took Pat McAfee and the boys had a super boost on FanDuel, 5-leg parlay. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown score. Travis Kelce anytime touchdown score. Travis Kelce 40+ yards. Jalen Hurts 200+ yards passing. And Patrick Mahomes 225 yards plus passing. And Patrick did not get 225 yards.
What did he finish with? I feel like he had a bunch.
It was right around 200. It was like 185 when I came down. I don't think he got any more after that. It was right around like 180 to 200 range. He did not get 225. That would have that was a nice little payday. It was like a plus 300 or plus 400 parlay. That probably should have hit, but the Eagles managed the clock and had total ball control for a large part of that game.
They played a great game too. They lost. They played very well.
It was a good football game. It was entertaining.
It was very enjoyable.
What did you think of the halftime show?
I like Rihanna. I think it was fun.
I did too.
I had a good time. Everyone was complaining about there's no surprise guest, which I get. That brings out a lot of excitement. Like, oh my gosh, it's Eminem. Oh my gosh, it's Beyonce. I get that brings a lot of thrill, but can we just have fun and let Rihanna perform?
No, Gary, you don't understand. The world's not about having fun. The world is about finding something to complain about.
Oh, I could go complain about a bunch of other things, but I'm not. Rihanna hasn't performed. How long? I feel like it's been.
I don't know.
I saw something. She hasn't released an album since 2016. She hasn't performed in a long time. Can we just she has a bunch of great songs. I got reminded of a bunch of songs I didn't even remember that she had.
Bangers.
They're all great. Yeah. That whole set list was all great. Can we just have fun?
I agree. I every song was good. Rihanna, sort of an artist of my generation, right? So, and I didn't realize that she was only 6 years older than me, which made me feel a little bit old, if we're being honest. She's only
I would have
30.
said less. I thought you guys were closer in age.
Really, really.
Well, how old
Well,
is Rihanna now?
said she's 34 on Google.
I guess that lines up. I mean, how long ago was Love the Way You Lie?
20, 2013, 2015.
Yeah, I guess that checks out. Yeah, if she was like
Dude,
22.
love the way you lie, though. Come on,
I
now.
was waiting for that the whole time, and it never happened.
I know, I
I
know.
thought that was for sure. I thought that was for sure gonna happen.
I thought that it was a good halftime show, not great. And Drake would have said the halftime show fucking stinks. I'll give you guys a Drake quote there. By the way, great Drake clip that you put together for the haters.
To which there are
Love
many.
that. And good, not great. I do think last year's was better. I think last year's halftime show was better.
What are your
They had
favorites?
my favorites.
Yeah. What are your favorite halftime shows? If you like that you can remember.
I mean, probably the one where Justin Timberlake flipped open the titty, right?
I think I was a wee little lad at that point.
I mean, you might not even been born. That happened when I was like 8. You might have been like born that year or something.
2002.
Maybe. I don't
I
know.
might have missed it then.
It might have been like 2006. I can't quite remember.
Okay.
That was I only remember that one. I'm not a big music guy. So
Okay.
if you went through the songs that I have like in my phone right now, like in the music app,
It's just back in black 20 times in a row on a playlist.
no. It's Taylor Swift, a fuckload of Taylor Swift,
Oh, okay.
a fuckload of Eminem,
Okay.
a fuckload of Mac Miller,
Okay.
a little bit of Hoodie Allen,
Okay.
some Drake,
Okay.
and like maybe some singles out there from like oh fucking I don't know, Kendrick Lamar, a few of
Okay.
those.
This is a good playlist. I don't see what
Yeah, but
I like the only one on there, Hoodie Allen, a little like like I don't think I could name a song of his off the top of my head.
no sleep in Brooklyn.
Okay, that's a good song. That's a
Yeah.
good song. I'll give you that one. But
Yeah.
all the
So
artists, I have no problems.
they're not bad. It hasn't been updated since 2013, but I
Well,
don't
that's the
listen to
best.
music.
That's the best of most of those artists.
I would agree.
Like
I would agree. I just haven't evolved. So,
that's fine. You should see my
I
playlist.
don't really recall or really remember a lot of halftime shows. So,
That's fine.
yeah, I don't know.
It's okay.
Let's end with this. Appreciate you doing this, by the way.
I love doing this.
Actually, do you want to bring up the I'll do it because your screen is ass. So I'm just going to do it.
Is it still bad? It says my connection's 10 out of 10.
Your connection's great, but it's still my camera's better because I have not written off a webcam purchase for you yet where we're going to get you the webcam that I got Kevin. So I'm just going to share this on my screen. We were talking about, someone tagged us in this and said we were talking about how younger generations keep looking younger and younger at a set age. So let's just say 20 years old. This is Andy Reid. When he played at BYU, he looks as old as my dad looks right now.
He looked, if you told me this was 41-year-old Andy Reid in shoulder pads, I would believe you.
If you said that if you said the guy in this photo, you had no idea who it was. If you said the guy in this photo was in his 50s, would you really question it?
I'd have no, honestly. No. He looks like a 45-year-old man.
I agree.
He looks like he's trying to pay off a mortgage.
And look at how big those goddamn shoulder pads are.
I love that. I love the old football picks, big shoulder pads, huge neck guards.
The sleeves down to your elbows. Fuck.
I never played a down of tackle football, truth be told. Never did.
Really? Wow.
Well, if you look at my size, my dad was a tennis player. Probably put 2 and 2 together, saw that this was not going to be the best deal for a little runt like me to be going and getting crushed running over the middle, right?
Right.
But if I did, I always said I'd wear a huge neck guard. like that.
Just a massive neck roll.
Yeah.
Just turn you into a little bowling ball out there.
Well, that's what I would have to be. I would have to be like a fullback or something.
Yeah.
Put on 75 pounds.
I was just gonna say the exact same thing.
I just go in the trenches, and I just coach. You need 2 yards. I'm your guy.
Yeah. Which, by the way, shout out to the Eagles QB sneaks. Yikes, they're good at those.
I was gonna bring that up. Iowa got brought up way more than I thought on Twitter in this game, and it mostly due to the QB sneaks.
Nate Stanley.
Yeah.
Dude, Nate was good for 6 yards a sneak if we needed it.
That was I don't remember what game it was. I want to say it's a bowl game, and this is there's definitely going to be Iowa fans that are like, how do you not remember this? But I remember distinctly a sequence where it was like 4 QB sneaks in a row with Nate.
Yep.
Do you remember what game that was?
I want to say that it was USC.
That's what I was picturing. I wanted to say it was a bowl game, so Holiday Bowl makes sense.
I believe it was the 19 Holiday Bowl against USC.
Yeah. One of my favorite games, by the way.
Great game. Amir, who was our only Hawkeye involved in this
Super Bowl champion.
In this Super Bowl, now a Super Bowl champ, was went the fuck off in that Holiday Bowl, scored 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. Basically won us that game. Yeah, the QB sneak was for a while with old Nate Stanley an absolute guarantee. And, I mean, there was nothing like it. Now, over the last 2 years, you start to see the line play slip a little bit, and you've also got the factors of, Iowa can't throw the ball because the quarterbacks are and the receiving core is and now we start getting 8 and 9 man boxes, and now you start to do QB sneaks, and it's not quite as successful. But yeah, I thought that Andy Reid shit was hilarious. Legendary coach, by the way.
No, I looked into that, by the way, a little bit. The whole why do people
Did
look?
you?
Yeah, no, because it was interesting. I saw a video online about it, and they were crediting some of it to orthodontic work, because like I had a bunch of work done on my jaw.
Teeth work?
Yeah, like things like underbites and stuff weren't like adjusted as much like when Andy Reid was growing up. So I think that attributes a little bit to like facial structure that makes you look a little older.
I'll say this too. Like you put a photo in black and white and it automatically looks older, right?
That's fair. That's
and so true. A lot of the photo we just looked at of Andy Reid was black and white. So that does some of it. And then there's something about the haircuts from the 70s and 80s. Like the big fluffy poofy hair from both men and women, right? And everybody just had the same haircut. It's, everybody at home, you probably, a lot of you had this haircut, and you're imagining what it looks like right now. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. That plus on a man, face hair, like those caterpillar mustaches that people used to rock.
Right.
You throw that and the haircut on anyone, and you're like, fuck, he looks 40 years old,
That's a great point.
But
that's a great point.
So interesting stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of factors. We'll finish with this. This is what I was going to finish with 5 minutes ago. Did you see this on Twitter that somebody thinks that we should rebrand? Or no. They called us biased ball garglers.
I did see this.
Did you like that?
What do you mean? Do I like the rebrand, or do I like that people were upset about our video?
Yeah, no. Both. Do you like that we upset people enough for them to watch only the clips of our podcast, but not watch the whole thing clearly? You're starting to get probably a feel for how some of these people are like, wait, did you watch the whole podcast, or did you just watch the clip that we put out?
I have a couple opinions on this. Well, ultimately, that is the point of the clips is to bring in an audience, right?
Sure.
Bring in people who haven't. So a lot of people, the clip is going to be the first thing they see. They haven't been able to see the full episode.
You're
right?
You're right.
So, but I mean I think the guy you were talking about, I think he did follow us. So there's a good chance he's actually listened to episodes. Like this wasn't his introduction to Watched Up Walk-Ons, right?
Sure.
And I think it's always funny when people send that stuff, and it's like who cares? Like it's like
I don't care. I think
these sports are supposed to be fun. You get like we're getting all worked up online arguing with people, and it's fun to argue online and stuff. But I don't know. I have more respect for people who their username is it's like their face, or it has a face on it. It's not just some burner account or whatever. Like it's very easy to, like say you can beat up Drake Kulik on the internet when it's some burner account, but it's a different thing when @Grant Allen replies to your tweet and says something like, I was gonna respond to the rebrand thing, and I was gonna be like, I don't know if I can put that on my resume. So if we could leave it at Watch the Walk-Ons, or at least can I leave it as Watch the Walk-Ons?
Yes.
I don't know if future employers are potentially.
You don't think like ESPN or wherever you go to work is going to be like, okay, well, it seems like you've got previous podcast experience. You worked for the Biased Ball Garglers. Okay, that looks good. Yeah,
that's credible. I heard they're very capital J journalist over at Ball Guzzler and Co. Well, even I was thinking about it. It was perfect timing because just last week I had in the entrepreneurship program here at Iowa, there was they want to review your resume. Like they want to make sure it looks good and stuff. And I bring it in. It's got walk-ons on it. And it just would have been really funny if I show my teacher that it's the Ball Guzzlers podcast, Biased Ball Guzzlers. He's like, okay, funny. This I see. Okay,
maybe
3.5 GPA. Supposed to graduate in 24. Let's look at experience and okay, HTRC and Biased Ball Guzzlers podcast. Whoa, what's going on there?
Oh fuck!
Worked there for 2 years. Whoa.
Yeah. Wow. Did social content and help produce the show at Biased.
What kind of social content are you putting up for the Ball Guzzlers?
Yeah.
Right?
Are those
what do those clips look like?
The nudity tag? Wow, that's funny. No,
but I do like seeing it. Is funny. Like when I put that out, I'm on Iowa Twitter enough that I know what a lot of people feel about Brian Ferentz.
Right.
Whether it's whether they're fans of Iowa or they're just college football fans, I know what the majority of people think of Brian Ferentz. So when I put that up, I knew it was a little bit like Babe Ruth calling a shot. So I know this is going to do really well. Of course, because people are going to be so mad,
and it did.
They're not going to like it. It's true. I don't think you said anything that wasn't true.
I don't either.
But that doesn't mean people aren't going to be mad.
Yeah, Kevin was the majority of that clip. So the one guy called us Biased Ball Garglers and said that we should stop. I believe the quote was, "You guys should try to stop being biased ball garglers for once and see the other side of things." Okay. And then, and so I thought that was an unbelievable rebrand. Like the merch for that could be, we could just unlimited ideas for merch potential on that.
That's great.
And then the other guy, we actually made, I unintentionally made delete his account.
I did
because
I felt a little bad. I was a little.
I didn't at all.
I felt a little bit. I didn't feel bad for the Biased Ball Guzzlers. I felt a little bit bad for him because I don't think he realized what he was doing. I don't think he realized it. I think he was
hey, Gary,
I think he was first day on the block on Twitter.
Yep.
He's like, I can say whatever I want. He just got the app, and now he's like, oh no, I don't know what to do anymore.
I decided to destroy this guy's life. Not really, because he'll just go make another burner account, and I'll shout him out right now. Hey, Ben Burrows, you fuck with the dragon, you're gonna get burnt a little bit, bud. Okay, you fuck with the dragon, you get a little burnt, because guess what happens? We aren't an account that is not gonna fuck with you back. Like
that's where I'm saying I like that you guys respond to. Keep the fans on their toes.
Right.
Keep them on their heels a little bit.
If you are going to tweet at us like you think you're going to tweet at LeBron or you're going to tweet at the ESPN, you're just going to tag us, you're getting a response because our brand is built on interaction and like accessibility to us, right? So if you're going to call us out, and Ben Burrows specifically said something along the lines of, wow, this is are you guys getting paid under the table to be the Ferentz's PR firm? This is like politician bad. And so
we were getting accused of being QAnon conspiracy theorists because of a take about college football.
Correct. So then I decided, cool, let's quote tweet this and say, hey, we found him. Some stupid motherfucker who only listened to the clip and not the whole episode. look, it's him. And I go back 30 minutes later, Gary, and what do I see? This account has been deleted. Oh no. Buddy fucked with the dragon and got burnt.
Do you think
and that's how
do you think some of our fans were going in the DMs in the trenches for us as well? Fighting the good fight?
I do believe that we have
hey pal, you watch what you say about my favorite podcast.
Dude, we have some loyal ass fans who oftentimes will show up.
I love you if you are one of those fans.
Oh, it's amazing. These people they're mostly in the Discord, like they're the Walk on Army people. Before I even get a chance, when people will call us out or respond to our stuff with dumb shit, we already have multiple people going like standing up for us, or like they've got our backs. Not that we need it, but it's fucking amazing. Like they've got the muskets out, they've got the swords, the pitchforks, and they're ready to go to war. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. So you've stepped into a podcast and a brand here that is it's a loyal one. It's very loyal.
Yeah. Well, doing this is so much more fun though than doing I could be doing a daily Iowan podcast right now about literature. Or about a bunch of rec clubs on campus.
Well, and I don't want to shit on because I think that all the good podcasts, I think the ones who are successful and you can pretty easily find whose are the most successful. I mean, they're simply the ones you like to listen to. But like take a Lystico podcast, Chad Lystico from the Des Moines Register, or take an iCult podcast. He does the Swarmcast, or any of those from other likable media entities in the Iowa world. Like, you're not going to be able to get on and talk about the stuff that we do, like, in the fashion that we do. You're not going to be able to be a part of like a social account that can just clap back and like straight up just tell a guy, hey buddy, fuck you. Right.
I will say Lystico doesn't do it. iCult, he'll let you know.
Yeah,
he was doing it today. He was doing it during the Super Bowl.
He will, but he's when it comes down to brass tacks, he's still tethered to 247 Sports, and he has the ultimate like corporate fist behind him of, okay, I do have somebody to answer to if I start spouting off like, hey motherfucker, meet me in the streets, But here there is nobody. In fact, if you go back to episode 1 of this podcast, I was just going to do this for like torture / personal research purposes. I was going to go back and like listen to our first 10 episodes. In those first 2 episodes, we very clearly mentioned, hey, we don't answer to anybody and there are no rules. So what we say here is going to be very not safe for work.
Sure.
Yeah, man. We're just happy that we could bring you in on that.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where media is going though a little bit. I think that's getting more and more popular. The like capital J journalists is kind of what they're called. Like will always have a place.
Sure.
And I think it's time. There's a time and place for everything. It would be weird if on ESPN there was like we can. I
agree.
The word for it? We can take different paths here and talk about different subjects, and it works because people like that about your personalities too. But if they did that on ESPN, it would be really weird. Or if they did that on Swarmcast, it would be really weird if they did that.
Right.
But here it works. So I think there's always going to be a place for that. And I think the place for this is growing more and more and more, though.
I would agree with that. And I think that I think there's no clearer example than Pat McAfee, first of all, and what he's done with his crew. And that's on a national, international, world level. I mean, they are the best at what I would call new media, new sports media. If there's like a title that we could give it, we certainly are trying to work on that. I mean, Barstool does a lot of great stuff with that too.
Yeah. There's
plenty of people who are gonna, their asshole immediately tightens up when they hear Barstool, but you have to respect what they've done in the space.
It's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It's clearly
absolutely
successful.
And that's what we're trying to do. And when it comes to the Iowa space, and this is the one thing that gives me a little bit of makes me feel a little bit secure and safe, is at least to this point, nobody in the Iowa space has even touched what we have built with the walk-ons. You know, Bohannon had a podcast for a little bit, and his stuff was good, and it was mostly basketball, so it didn't really clash with us too much. And you know, I think the closest is probably Cooper. What's his name? Max Cooper and his college buddy who do the Men on Melrose podcast.
I think they do good work too.
Yeah, they tried to bait us out for clicks one time. Didn't work. But they get good guests. You know, they're more recent than us, so they're buddies with Laporta, buddies with Tory Taylor, buddies with Riley Moss, buddies with Spencer Petras. So they've had all of them on as guests. But what we've done and built here and kind of just platformed is something really cool. So that's, you know, it makes me happy.
I didn't know this about them baiting you for clicks. What happened?
Yeah, they let's see. When was it? It was mid-season, somewhere around mid-season, where and we this was actually, it was interesting because we did not say anything that was even remotely not true. It was post Iowa State or Illinois. So, you know, earlier third or at least earlier half of the season. And we had talked about how, you know, the quarterback play up until that point was just simply not going to get it done. They were not, you know, the spot we were at with Spencer was a spot where it's pretty clear he's not going to evolve into some guy who's just a great D1 quarterback at this point. And despite him being a great human, from all other signs, and him being a great teammate, as far as QB production, there was just a lot that was lacking in his productivity. And I think we also looped in some offensive line talk in there as well. And it was all very critical of the players, but it was all, I would say, mild in intensity. And then Max Cooper went on and said something like, he's like, I get so sick of these former players getting on podcast and shitting all over the guys on the team. Like, dude, you've been there. You've like, you know what they're going through. Like, there's no reason to shit on. And it was just like, you know, he's trying to. It was.
I had no idea about this.
I don't even care.
I take. You know what? I take back what I said. You know, I'm team walk-ons. I retract what I said. They don't get my stamp of approval anymore. I take back what I said.
I absolutely think people should go listen. Here's the thing, though. When it comes to the podcast game and like other people's content, if you want to, like, and this is to everybody, this isn't just you, I encourage you to go listen to Eichholt, go listen to Leistico, go listen to fucking Rob Howe, Pat Hardy, whoever the fuck you want. Go listen to Men on Melrose. Go listen to John Miller on the Iowa Everywhere Network. I don't want you giving us pity follows or trying to, like, just because you like us as people listening to our show. If our show sucks, our show fucking sucks. Don't listen to us, right? I ultimately want the market to decide if the Washed Up Walk-Ons is a good product. And because I trust so much in the three of us to give authentic and honest takes and opinions on every single thing that we do. And I truly believe, again, going back to the sort of the novelty of what we do around here, I believe that we have something that no one else has or could even morph into. The only people that could do something like us is if some former guys on the team, right, you know, in the last 4 years since we graduated, or maybe it's somebody on the team right now in several years when they're done playing, start a podcast and they become better than us, right?
But then that's always going to be the copycat podcast, though. Always big. Oh, that's Walmart walk-ons.
Sure, and in the Iowa space, it might be, and we might always have for eternity that little chip in our pocket that says, well, we were first and we were kind of the first ones to do it, and so there's just no getting around that. But you know, people who listen to Iowa podcasts don't just listen to us. If you want to go listen to other people, you're not cheating on us, because you're not getting us on any other show, right? You're not getting Gary the intern. You're not getting three guys who have been inside the.
You might get Gary the intern in the kitchen podcast, though.
You will get him on the In the Kitchen podcast, which is where you should go next after this episode.
I'm sorry, I had to do that there.
I actually lied, Gary. I lied. I said we weren't going to go for an hour. We went for an hour.
I say I can talk. I don't. People don't come here to listen to Gary, but I can talk.
And they know I can talk. They're fucking actually tired of me talking at this point. This is episode 394, and but hopefully I have a feeling that the Gary Kluver dynamic here, it might have sucked some people in. I'm trying to win some people over with this dynamics where, hey, if it ends up just being me and you, we can throw a little pod together if we have to.
I don't want this to be. I don't want this to seem like a squeeze out. I'm here. I'm simply here because Drake and Kevin couldn't make it, and back on Thursday we'll be back to our regular scheduled.
Let's call it what it is. You know, Kevin and Drake are on their way out, and Gary's going to be the new host, and it's going to be the Gary and Kluver podcast.
These are not my words.
That's what it's looking like at this point. So either way, for those who have tuned in for this 1 hour plus of content, we appreciate you. Gary, I appreciate you for talking with me.
Happy to be here.
And you can follow us at Tyler Kluver on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere else, at Washed Up Walk-Ons on everything. Follow us. You're going to hear it in the outro anyway. I won't talk about this. Follow Gary as well, and go listen to his podcast, In the Kitchen, that talk about sports. Other than that, appreciate you for being here. Super Bowl champs. Football season is over. Now we're going to have to find some other shit to talk about. Probably should find some goddamn guests, huh? We'll start.
What is there even to talk about outside of football? I forgot.
Well,
I haven't talked about anything but football for.
Well, you're gonna find out real quick. Real quick. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.